The CEO of Virex Motors, Calvin Hart, stood tall in his sharp charcoal suit, the polished glass of the showroom reflecting his confident smirk. Cameras were rolling, and reporters scribbled every word as he glanced dismissively toward the back of the room where she stood. Alex Monroe, in her grease-stained overalls, had just presented her upgraded McLaren engine prototype. Her hands still had smudges of oil on them. She wasn't part of the engineering elite, didn't have a string of degrees behind her name, just a deep knowledge of machines and a fire that wouldn't quit. Calvin let out a short, condescending laugh. "You're just a mechanic," he said loudly enough for everyone to hear, turning slightly toward the press. "Let the real engineers handle the future of racing." Some of the room laughed politely, others looked uncomfortable. Alex didn't blink. She slowly set down the wrench in her hand and stepped forward, meeting his gaze without flinching. "Maybe," she said calmly, "but this ain't just a mechanic rebuilt a machine your engineers said couldn't be fixed." "Let's see what she says." All eyes turned toward the sleek silver McLaren prototype sitting silently in the center of the room. The tension shifted and suddenly, everyone wanted to see what would happen next. The test garage was quiet. The kind of silence that only happens when something big is about to unfold. The sleek silver McLaren prototype sat like a coiled predator in the center of the space, every inch of it hand-tuned, redesigned, and reimagined by Alex Monroe. She moved around the car with purpose, checking the final connections, running her fingers along the smooth carbon fiber hood, tightening one last bolt. Her concentration was absolute. This wasn't just a machine to her. It was a statement, a challenge answered, a dream built with bruised knuckles and late nights. The McLaren had been written off by Virex engineers months ago. Unfixable, they said, too unstable to even idle, they warned. But where they gave up, she dug in. She had restructured the intake valves, redesigned the compression system, and recalibrated the software until it all clicked. Outside the glass walls, Calvin Hart and the board members watched from behind safety glass, arms crossed, half doubting, half curious. Even the skeptical engineers had fallen silent, staring through the glass like they were waiting for a miracle or a disaster. Alex opened the driver's side door, climbed in, and settled into the seat. The air was heavy. The entire company's pride sat on the edge of her fingers. She reached for the ignition switch. No words, no drama, just her and the machine. She pressed the ignition button. For a moment, there was only silence, the kind that makes hearts stop and breaths catch. Then, with a sudden growl, the engine came to life. Not a cough, not a stutter, but a clean, explosive roar that filled the entire garage. It was deep, smooth, and thunderous. The vibrations trembled through the floor, rattled the steel tool carts, and echoed off the walls like a beast announcing its return. The McLaren's twin-turbo engine purred with a dangerous beauty. It wasn't just running, it was alive. The digital diagnostics lit up instantly, reading off numbers that no one expected. RPM levels stable, heat regulation perfect, fuel efficiency up, zero engine knock. Behind the safety glass, the CEO's expression changed from smug to stunned. His arms slowly dropped to his sides. The board members leaned forward. The engineers whispered among themselves, double-checking the data that was already flooding the monitors. This wasn't supposed to be possible. The old engine had been a failure, a throwaway. What Alex had done, it wasn't just repairs, it was reinvention. Inside the car, Alex remained calm, her hands on the wheel, her face unreadable. Outside, someone finally broke the silence. "Is that a broken bar, her compression design?" Another engineer nodded in disbelief. "That's not just working, that's outperforming the last 5 prototypes." Calvin took a step forward, staring at the car like it had betrayed him. He didn't say a word. Alex glanced through the windshield, locking eyes with him, and without saying anything, the engine said it all. The McLaren settled into a soft, confident idle, steady, clean, with the low hum of raw power perfectly under control. No smoke, no warning lights, just precision. Alex stepped out of the car, calmly shutting the door behind her. She didn't rush, didn't gloat. Her expression remained cool, composed, the kind of calm that only comes from knowing exactly what you're capable of. A hush had fallen over the entire space. The room behind the glass, once full of skeptical eyes and half-smiles, was now packed with awestruck silence. The live diagnostics continued to scroll numbers that made jaws drop. Acceleration performance had increased by 14%, emissions dropped by 30%, and the re-engineered combustion cycle was achieving peak efficiency in record time. The lead engineer, someone who hadn't spoken much in weeks, leaned toward Calvin and whispered, "That engine alone could redefine our next generation." She didn't just fix the failure, she solved the bottlenecks we thought were impossible. Calvin didn't respond. His jaw was tight. His gaze locked on Alex, as if he was seeing her for the first time, not as just a mechanic, but as someone who had just outperformed his entire R&D department. One of the board members finally broke the silence. "Why isn't she heading the innovation team?" Alex, overhearing it, gave a quiet smile but didn't speak. Instead, she picked up her tools from the side table, wiped the grease from her hands, and turned to walk away. Just before she reached the door, she paused and looked over her shoulder, and not with arrogance, but quiet confidence. "I told you," she said simply. The engine would speak for itself. And then she was gone, leaving behind only the hum of the perfect machine, and a room full of stunned men realizing they'd just witnessed the future rebuilt by the woman they underestimated.